Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are looking at a single, honestly pretty shocking verse from the ancient text of the Gospel of Mark.
Yeah, it's one that really catches people off guard.
Right. Because, okay, I want you to picture the ultimate symbol of peace. You know, Jesus of Nazareth.
Mm-hmm.
Someone we are so culturally conditioned to view as this serene, almost floating figure, right? Totally untouched by the chaos of the world.
Like a stained glass window.
Exactly, a stained glass image. So picture him, and then picture a desperate, dying man falling to his knees in the dirt, begging him for help.
Right.
And Jesus' immediate internal response to this guy is, well, it's anger. He's an indignant.
It completely shatters that peaceful image we usually project onto historical religious figures, doesn't it?
It really does.
We always want our ultimate symbols of peace to be, devoid of sharp edges. But the ancient texts are completely unafraid of that emotional, muddy water.
Yeah, and that is our mission for you today. We are taking an incredible analytical excerpt focused entirely on Mark chapter 1, verse 41.
Unpacking that one specific moment.
Right, to uncover why the ultimate act of love actually required getting incredibly angry.
Yeah.
We're going to explore the profound difference between, like, toxic anger and true indignation, and how this one ancient encounter breaks down the absolute anatomy of human suffering.
Because the source material really forces us to completely reevaluate our assumptions.
Yeah,
About what a perfectly loving response to a broken world actually looks like.
definitely.
Because the inciting incident here is just so jarring. You have a leper approaching Jesus. This man falls on his knees and says, if you are willing, you can make me clean.
Right.
And the text says, quote, Jesus was indignant.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there.
Mm-hmm.
Because to a modern listener, attributing anger to a divine fashion in a moment of someone's ultimate vulnerability, that just sounds volatile.
It does. It sounds dangerous.
Right? I mean, we spend millions of dollars on therapy trying to extinguish our anger.
Oh,
So if someone comes to you broken, weeping, begging for help, and your response is to get angry, that reads as incredibly cold to us. We categorize anger as a totally destructive emotion.
yeah, through a modern therapeutic lens, absolutely.
Right.
We tend to lump all forms of anger into the exact same toxic bucket.
Yeah, exactly.
But the source makes this critical distinction between mere irritation and moral indignation. To understand the text, we actually have to elevate our vocabulary a bit.
Okay, unpack that.
So, the source dives into the nuance of the original Greek language here. The words used for this kind of emotion in ancient texts, words denoting this visceral, gut-wrenching reaction, they aren't describing a loss of temper.
Right.
They describe a violent rebellion against an unnatural state of affairs.
Which really makes sense when you look at the brilliant analogies the source uses to make this relatable for us.
Yeah, the analogies are great.
Like, it asks you to imagine watching a disabled person being treated with overt contempt right in front of you. Or seeing a wealthy, powerful boss actively exploiting workers who labor tirelessly but get absolutely no fairness.
Right, the injustice of it.
Or even something a bit closer to home, like the absolute frustration of watching someone else happily steal the credit for hard work that you faithfully completed.
Oh, yeah. When you visualize those specific scenarios, there's this very specific type of heat that rises in your chest.
Oh, absolutely. My blood pressure spikes just thinking about it.
Right. But you aren't irritated because you're stuck in traffic. You aren't annoyed because someone got your coffee order wrong.
Right, it's deeper than that.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
That visceral heat is a moral response. That is indignation.
It's almost like an immune system response.
Oh, I like that.
Like, just as a healthy physical body generates a violent fever to burn out an infection and protect the vital organs, moral indignation is the soul's violent, healthy response to protect the vulnerable.
To protect them from injustice. That is the perfect mechanism to describe it, actually. Yeah, indignation is the immune response of a perfect moral system encountering a disease of injustice.
Wow.
And this is the absolute key to unlocking Mark 1.41. Jesus is not angry at the desperate man.
That's the crucial distinction.
Right. His indignation is generated by the painful, unjust circumstances that this man has been forced to endure.
So it's not, how dare you interrupt me? It is, how dare the world be so broken that you are in this position to begin with.
Exactly. He is looking at the destruction of something beautiful.
Yeah.
And to truly understand the sheer scale of that indignation, you really have to look at the cause of the immune response. You have to look at the actual condition of the leper.
Because it was brutal.
Beyond brutal. The source breaks down this man's existence into 3 interconnected layers of suffering.
Okay, what's the first one?
Well, the first is the physical reality. Leprosy in the ancient world was horrific. We are talking about a progressive, completely incurable condition.
Right? The source compares it to facing a terminal illness today, but one where you have absolutely no hope of treatment.
No palliative care, no comfort.
Nothing. Your body itself testified to your misery and helplessness. You couldn't hide it.
And you have to remember, in a pre-scientific society, lacking any understanding of germ theory or modern medicine,
Oh, right.
a disease that caused slow, visible decay was the ultimate horror. The leper woke up every single day, knowing his body would only continue to degrade until he died.
But, if your body is visibly decaying in that kind of ancient society, people aren't just going to offer you a tissue.
No, definitely.
They're going to cast you out of pure terror, which organically triggers the second layer of this man's agony, right? The social and cultural destruction.
Exactly.
This wasn't just a medical diagnosis. It was the complete erasure of your human identity.
Because the physical rot dictated the social reality. The disease was highly contagious, so the social consequences were absolute.
Yeah.
It destroyed relationships just as effectively as it destroyed nerve endings. These individuals were forced to live apart from society entirely.
Like you couldn't walk through the marketplace.
Yeah.
You couldn't sit in the town square.
No, absolutely forbidden.
You were cut off from your family, from your friends, forced into lonely places outside the towns and villages.
The psychological weight of that isolation is it's difficult for us to even fathom. Every single day, you are carrying the burden of absolute rejection.
Your whole life is defined by it.
Right. Your entire life becomes defined by separation. You are breathing, your heart is beating, but you are effectively a ghost to your own community.
Man, that is heavy. And that leads to the third layer of suffering, which honestly, I kind of want to challenge a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, the source describes the third layer as spiritual and religious suffering. It notes that according to the law of the time, this man was considered ceremonially unclean.
Yes, barred from the temple.
Right, barred from participating in the worship of God.
The source actually compares it to an unclean animal that couldn't be presented before the Lord. He was totally forbidden from approaching the place where God's people gathered.
See, here is where I have to push back, representing a modern listener.
Go for it.
Today, in our highly individualized secular society, we look at that and think, okay, so he couldn't go to church. That's unfortunate, but my arm is rotting off.
Right.
My family abandoned me. I don't care about a building.
Yeah.
The physical and social pain feels like the real crisis, framing the inability to attend a religious service as the ultimate layer of suffering. Just feels like missing the forest for the trees.
Through our modern lens, yes, absolutely. That makes total sense.
Okay, good.
But you have to fundamentally shift your cosmological worldview to understand the mechanism of this ancient text.
Oh, so.
You have to understand the concept of ritual purity. In ancient Judea, you weren't just an autonomous individual. You were a fraction of a whole people.
Okay.
And the temple wasn't just a community center or a church where you went to hear a nice sermon.
Right. It was the literal, localized dwelling place of God on earth.
Precisely. It was the actual intersection of heaven and earth. To be declared ceremonially unclean meant your physical condition was seen as fundamentally incompatible with the physical presence of the divine.
Oh, wow.
The purity laws acted as boundaries around that holiness. So to be separated from the visible center of worship wasn't just missing a weekly gathering.
Yeah.
It meant being cut off from reality itself, from the source of all life.
Oh, I see. So the physical disease causes the social exile, and the social exile is amplified into a cosmic exile.
Exactly.
You are abandoned by your own body, you are abandoned by your family, and as far as the societal structure tells you, you are literally abandoned by God.
Yeah. The source asks you to imagine longing to worship alongside others, yet being strictly forbidden to enter the place of prayer under threat of causing mass defilement.
That's agonizing.
That spiritual separation deepened the physical and social pain exponentially. It is a complete three-dimensional destruction of a human being.
Which makes the inciting incident so incredibly powerful.
It really does.
We have established this absolute, untouchable isolation. This man is existing at the lowest possible point of the human experience. And then he approaches Jesus. And what stands out immediately is his approach. Like, the humility is just striking.
It's beautiful, really.
He doesn't make demands. He falls on his knees.
He says, if you are willing, you can make me clean.
Yeah. He places his entire fate into the hands of Christ's will. It's total submission, but it is also an immense display of faith.
Right, because he doesn't doubt the power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He fully believes the power is there. He just leads the execution up to the sovereignty of the person he's asking.
And at that exact moment, Jesus perceives the absolute weight of this man's existence. The physical rot, the social terror, the spiritual starvation.
And the 3 layers.
All 3. And the immune response triggers. The profound indignation at the injustice of it all flares up.
Yeah.
But out of that deep indignation and out of deep compassion, Jesus doesn't just speak a word of healing from a safe, sterile distance.
No. He does something mechanically shocking.
He really does.
He stretches out his hand and touches the leper.
We really need to pause and examine the cultural explosion of that single gesture.
It's huge.
Touching a leper wasn't just a health risk. It broke every conceivable social, cultural, and theological barrier of the ancient world.
Because under the purity laws of the time, if you touch something unclean, you become unclean.
Right.
The purity doesn't transfer to the object. The impurity transfers to you. It's like dropping a handful of dirt into a glass of perfectly clean water.
That's a great analogy.
The dirt doesn't become clean, the water becomes dirty.
That is the exact mechanism at play. People who were terrified of becoming ceremonially unclean themselves would literally run the other way.
You just didn't do it.
You did not touch a leper. It was unthinkable. But Jesus does not withdraw. He moves directly into the contamination. He reverses the flow of purity.
And I love that. He acts as a contagion of holiness.
Exactly, a contagion of holiness. The cultural implication is staggering. Before a single syllable of healing was even spoken, that physical touch communicated something revolutionary.
Yeah. It communicated that this man was not untouchable in the eyes of God. In a fraction of a second, the Savior demonstrated that divine mercy completely overrules human exclusion.
Divine mercy overcomes human exclusion. That is such a profound anchor point from the source text.
It's the core of the whole encounter.
The disease made him untouchable to humanity, but he was entirely accessible to divinity. And then comes the actual spoken restoration. Jesus says, "I am willing, be clean."
And the text tells us that instantly the leprosy leaves him.
Instantly. What years of agonizing progressive decay couldn't resolve is reversed in a literal moment.
It's breathtaking.
And because we understand the 3 layers of suffering now, we can see that this isn't just a medical cure.
No, not at all.
The cure restores the entire anatomy of the man's life simultaneously.
All 3 layers at once.
Right. He is physically healed, which means he is no longer a contagion, which means he can go back to his family and be socially restored.
Which means he is ceremonially clean and can re-enter the temple.
Spiritually restored. It is the total, instantaneous reconstruction of a human life.
Wow.
And when we synthesize all of these historical and theological breakdowns, the source offers a profound, very personal comfort to you, the listener.
Yeah, when I was reading through the source's breakdown of this encounter, the thing that hit me the hardest was a realization about how we view divine judgment.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, it changes the entire theology of the scene from one of intimidation to one of supreme empathy. It is the difference between a doctor being angry at the patient versus an oncologist being absolutely furious at the cancer.
Oh, that is a brilliant synthesis of the text's core takeaway.
Right. It totally reframes it.
If you are listening to this right now and you feel weighed down, perhaps you are burdened by your own physical pain, by social isolation, or by broken circumstances that feel entirely out of your control.
Yeah.
The source urges you to look at how the Savior responds to the broken. When you approach in humility, you do not encounter an angry judge holding a gavel.
You encounter compassion.
Exactly.
You encounter someone who is willing to touch the untouchable parts of your life.
The indignation of Christ is directed at the suffering that binds you, never at you. He sees the hidden struggles, the secret wounds, the deep loneliness that your own community might not even understand.
Yeah, that's so true.
He may be deeply indignant at the brokenness of the world that is causing your misery, but toward you, he remains gentle, merciful, and ready to restore. You should never hesitate to approach, trusting that he reaches out with grace, just as he stretched out his hand to the man in the dirt.
It completely reframes our understanding of love. True love isn't passive. It isn't a serene, emotionless state of floating above the fray.
No, it gets his hands dirty.
It requires engaging with the mess, and sometimes it requires getting angry at the things that destroy what is good.
Yeah.
Which actually brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. We've spent this time exploring how deep compassion, literally required this historical figure to feel indignant at injustice.
Right, to let the moral immune system fight the disease.
Exactly. Sure. So here's a question for you to mull over as you go about your day, building on what we've learned.
Okay.
In our modern society, we have cultivated this absolute obsession with constantly being positive.
Oh, toxic positivity.
Yes. We are told to protect our peace at all costs, to curate our feeds, and to avoid negative emotions like anger entirely.
Keep everything surface level happy.
Right. But if the ultimate example of love in this ancient text required a deep, visceral indignation at suffering, how does our modern obsession with avoiding negative emotions actually prevent us from experiencing real, world-changing empathy?
Man, that is a deeply uncomfortable but entirely necessary question to sit with.
It really is. Sometimes you have to be willing to look at the brokenness and feel the anger if you ever want to stretch out your hand and help heal it.
Beautifully said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.